Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Ecom Dispensary. This is Knowledge Drop number 24. It's your boy Nate Schmidt, as always, here with the infamous Scotty. Scotty, what's going on, man? How the heck are you doing?
I'm doing well. That was a horribly obnoxious intro with
You
the
don't like that one?
hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Super obnoxious.
Well, we got to give something to the people, man. I got to switch it up sometimes. I get tired of saying the same stuff over and over again. So maybe you do the intro next time. If you're going to complain about it, you can do it next time, okay?
I'm more of a complainer, less of a do it better kind of guy.
Got you. That's probably has to do with a lot, your success in business. It's a big lesson in there, folks. Big lesson in there.
That's really it. That's the whole episode. We'll see you in the next one.
No, of course not. As always, folks, we got some good stuff for you this week. I'm pretty excited to talk about some of these topics. I think Scotty commended me on the value of this outline, so I'm feeling good about it. I'm ready to hop in. In this first one, we're talking about how to fix your mindset and your confidence after failing. You go through a failure, it can mess up your mindset. It can. I'm speaking from experience on this one. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. I can tell you guys about how I've kind of experienced this personally, but this was inspired by the boy Christian Tumamo. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Very interesting last name. Christian put a message in Telegram the other day that said, I think he was referring to last week's knowledge drop. Let me double check. It was either last week's or I think it was last week. So number 23. He said, on the first episode, when talking about stage 3, seeing profit but not consistently, I have an interesting story on that. I'm currently on stage 3 right now. I had a store running for 6 months, made very low profit for each of the first 4, and broke even/lost on the other 2. I recently decided to move on, so I shut it down. It's safe to say I was devastated for a while, as I did absolutely everything I possibly could have done for that store, still couldn't keep it alive. As a result, my brain switched to a mindset of, if this couldn't work, then what will? I did everything imaginable, still couldn't make it work. This was the best shot I had. Not going to lie, I'm still recovering, doing market research, looking for a new idea so I can get to testing again. I'm curious to see if anybody else has gone through something similar where their mindset completely went to shit after what feels like a failed attempt. Yeah. That has definitely happened. I've definitely gone through something similar. Curious to hear if Scotty's gone through anything similar. Scotty's like just kind of like a bulletproof robot over there. But I do have emotions. While Scotty might not, I do have emotions. These things do happen, and kind of want to talk about just how to deal with this, because this was, for me, this was a pretty rough thing when I went through this, and I understand where you're at. Like, I understand what that feels like to just be second guessing yourself and just be unsure if you're going to be able to succeed with ecom, succeed in general. This mindset is like, I guess, like the first part of this mindset is like completely detrimental to your success, and you absolutely have to do everything you can to get rid of this. So I think you're doing the right thing here, Christian, kind of talking about this and trying to solve this problem. So there's a few things that you want to be aware of here. First off, welcome to it, man. Welcome to this world of business, of e-commerce. This is how things work. Like, this is not what you're experiencing is not an abnormal thing. I think almost everyone has gone through this at some point in their journey, if they've been doing this for a couple of years at least. The reality of what you're doing with ecom, with testing products, testing stores, running ads, most of the things that you try will probably not work. This is just the reality of things. If you think about it like a baseball player, even the best baseball players only bat like 300. They're only hitting like 3 out of every 10, whatever. They have like a 3 or a 30% success rate, essentially. And even then, their success rate for like hitting a home run is even lower. Like, that's super rare. It does happen, but it's rare. Ecom is much the same way. Even the absolute best ecom dudes, like, the things that they test only, I don't know, I'm not going to throw out a specific number, but not everything is going to work. You have to realize that the entire point, like a huge part of ecom, is just testing a lot of things. And the reason you have to test a lot of things is because most things aren't going to work. But you're never going to find the things that do work unless you test a lot of things. That's just kind of the name of the game.
Yeah. It's a tough situation, I think this is probably, it's fairly typical. I would say like most people fail because they never start. That's like the highest percentage of people who fail. Second highest percentage is like people who run a store or two, never get a sale, or get one or two sales but nowhere near profitable. And those people quitting is just like weakness. It's just a lack of persistence, a lack of sticking with it.
Die schwache
People,
Nims.
what's that?
Die schwache Nims.
Die schwache Nims, Jesus Christ. Um,
That's the weak get taken in German, by the way.
But people who run a store for months and are like kind of profitable, sometimes breaking even, sometimes losing money, those I think might be the most frustrating experiences, because it's hard. It's not easy to give advice when to persevere and when to stop and move on to something else. That's a tough thing to know, even for us still. But especially if you're just getting started and this is the most success you've had. And what also makes it hard is, in terms of motivation, I think the most important thing is that you're seeing continual progress, like forward movement. You're going to be more motivated if you go from making 0 sales to making 3 sales a day, instead of going from making 100 sales down to 80. Like that forward momentum from 0 to 3 is going to have you high energy motivated, whereas going from 100 down to 80 is going to have you in a massive slump. And the issue you've got is you've had this 6-month period where you're seeing some success, but it's not really working well enough. And now you're back to 0. So you're already down, like you're already at a lower sales rate than you were before. And now also what you're going to test is likely to fail. So you're likely to have a few failures before you get anything working again. So whereas before you were like making sales but not profitable, now you're going to go to probably making no sales on your next test. So this is a super frustrating place to be. I've seen a few people kind of throw in the towel at the spot. It's tough. I think in order to stay motivated, you just kind of have to go back to that bigger mindset of, I'm back at ground zero, I'm getting no sales. Let's see, can I get something to make sales again? And then can I make it profitable? And then this time, maybe try to cut it off sooner. Like give yourself 3 months to make it actually profitable at a decent margin. And don't run it for 6 months if it's around that break-even point.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, if you can run a store for 6 months and break even, you know how the business model works. You've figured a lot of stuff out. You're over the beginner hurdles. You just need to get an offer, an angle, an ad, an audience, mesh those all together into a winning combination, and you're set. Like you know how the business works. You just need to find that offer, angle, market, product combination, and you're going to be off the races. But in order to find that, you're going to have to test a couple things, and some of them are going to flunk, something like that, which goes to the batting average that Shmini was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, even us guys, like not everything that we test works. Like we had for our foolproof Facebook ads course, we had a period, the kind of like headline we used for that was like the last 6 out of 9 things that we tested. It was like a 66% success rate, or 6 out of 10 or something like that. That's because we're good. And that's like, I mean, even that's like extremely high. And that is like not necessarily the norm. Even stuff that we test doesn't work. Like you have to realize that ecom is not easy, man. Like there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that you have to get right. And I think like a really important thing at this step, Christian, to do would be to just take a step back and appreciate all that you have accomplished up to this point, because it's pretty easy to like make a sale, just like make one sale, make a few sales. That's not that difficult, but making a lot of sales profitably and consistently over a long period of time, that's pretty difficult. That's definitely not easy. So I think you have to pat yourself on the back a little bit and kind of realize that you've come so incredibly far up to this point. Even though you haven't quite gotten something working to the point where it's like actually bringing in consistent profit every day, just running a store at break even for a couple months is a huge accomplishment. Like, don't overlook that. That's actually, I mean, that's incredible. Being at that stage, I think we talked about this in one of the episodes a week or two ago. There's a huge difference between having made like one sale, not having made any sales, versus having run a store at break even for multiple months straight. Like, yeah, obviously you're not making profit. It's not ideal, but that's still a huge accomplishment. And I think you should like pat yourself in the back for that a little bit. It's, but this wasn't, you know, you say that you were devastated. Um, you should be happy. Like you should kind of like, I mean, it's kind of all about perspective. You did something somewhat successfully, and I mean, that's like pretty solid. Like, obviously it wasn't what you wanted, but it's probably a lot better. You probably made a lot more progress than you think you did. And I think probably like the biggest thing is you have to reframe this quote unquote failure from a failure, something that you were like pissed off that happened, to a lesson. Like, imagine and just think about all of the things that you learned and picked up and got better at over the course of the last 6 months running the store. The difference is probably mind blowing. If you go back and you think about where you were 6 months ago, you're probably so much more knowledgeable, so much better at marketing. You have way more skills. Like, it's a completely different ballgame now. If you can make it a goal of yours to intentionally learn as much as possible from every single one of your ventures, whether or not it works or does not work, go back and like, this is something that I would do, is I would take some time to just reflect on running this store. Be like, what are the lessons that I learned? What are the conclusions that I can draw? What information can I take from this experience and apply it to the next one? You know, mistakes that I made, okay, I'm not going to make those mistakes again. Things that did work out pretty well, okay, well, I'm going to do more of that this time. If you go into it and treat it kind of like a learning experience and not so much like I wanted to get this result and I didn't, so I failed, it's going to serve you a lot better. And honestly, like, this is running a store for 6 months around break even is some of the best experience you can get in ecom. Obviously, besides like running a store profitably for 6 months. um, if you haven't taken a second, like taken some time to reflect on what you did and what you learned from this failure, it's not going to serve you. It's not going to do any good for you. And that's, you know, if you treat it like it's just a failure like that, then it's, again, it's just going to be a failure. It's not going to actually be useful to you. But if you look at it like it's something that you can learn from, and I mean, this is like something you have to do really intentionally. And this is something that I did when I was first starting out. It was probably one of the best things that I did, was every round of tests that I ran on Facebook ads, I kept a log, and I wrote down, okay, so what did we test? What were the results? And what can I learn from this? You know, if it didn't work, what conclusions can I draw? And you're not going to be 100% sure, but do your best. Do your best to draw the conclusions that you can, and like write them down, like learn from this, use that going forward.
Yeah. I'd really recommend embracing like going back to that beginner process, that beginner mindset, where you're just prepared to fucking grind and you're prepared to throw shit at the wall until something works. And I think when you're running a store for 6 months, a lot of the work is front loaded, and whether you're profitable or not, week one is going to be more work than week 8. So you probably have to go back to that stage where you're just willing to work a lot on putting up stores, testing. Doesn't work. Okay, new store, put it up, testing. Still doesn't work. Why isn't it working? Let me do some research. Okay, here's an idea. Let me do this instead. New store, testing. You kind of have to be willing to go back to that beginner phase where you just grind it and throw stuff at the wall until something sticks. I think you also mentioned how you're doing a lot of market research. I don't think you need market research. I think you need to pick an idea, do 30 minutes of research, throw it up and see if it works. I don't think you're going to market research your way out of this issue.
Yeah. I mean, the only way you're going to do anything out of this issue is just like by like recklessly taking action. Like just reckless, not necessarily recklessly. Like obviously you want to be intentional with it, but like just like guerrilla, like fucking go after it. Like just test shit aggressively. That's the only way that you're going to get out of it, right? Because that's the thing that got you to the point that you were at where you're break even. You probably were testing a lot of stuff. And it can be frustrating when you're testing a lot of stuff and things aren't working. But I mean, that's just the way things go, man. That's the way things go. And I think another huge key is you have to be emotionally unattached to specific stores that you're running, products that you're testing, just all your business ventures, really. You have to remove emotion from the equation because obviously like the question and the thing that you brought up, Christian, is it's very emotionally based, right? It's all about how you feel and everything. Um, you have to like remove your emotions from this equation. And I think probably the best way to do that is to remove your focus from the result, how many sales you're making, how profitable your store is, et cetera, and instead put all your focus on the process of doing the things you need to do to get what you want. Testing products, running ads, intentionally trying to learn from everything that you're doing. If you're doing those things on a daily basis, then you're doing the right things to reach your goals, right? And if you switch switch your focus and switch the way you view things from this is a failure if I'm not making profit to this is a failure if I don't do the right things on a daily basis, then you're going to do the right things on a daily basis and you're going to get the results and you're not going to have to worry about the results too much because worrying about the results is the thing that will prevent you from getting the results that you want. That's just kind of the way things work. If you can just focus on what you can control and then use your kind of progress doing those things as a benchmark to measure whether or not you're getting closer to success. If you're doing those things, you're getting closer to success, and that's all you can control. So that's really all you should focus on.
Yep. It's also interesting again how it's 6 months. It seems to him like a long time, and even I mean we're talking about it as if it's a long time, where in reality it's nothing for the potential result that you're going after. Not having found success after 6 months is almost like it's just irrelevant. Like you can't even get a worthless college degree in under 4 years. How are you going to get a life-changing result in 6 months?
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it. Like what you're going after, this goal that you're going after is literally it's life changing. Like the goal is to make enough money from your own online business, from ecom, to support yourself so that you don't have to work a job. You can live a decent lifestyle. You can have like complete time freedom, spend your time doing what you want. It's a beautiful freaking thing. Getting to that point is not going to be easy. Like it's just not. You're going after something that's literally life changing. If it was easy, it wouldn't be life changing. That's just the way it goes. But if you want that result, then you have to accept that it's not going to be easy. It's going to take time, and it's not necessarily that you're like doing something very wrong. In fact, I mean, in all likelihood, if you are running a store at break even for multiple months, you're probably doing like 90% of the things right. There's probably just like a very small percentage of things that you're not doing right. And it's just about dialing those in.
Yep. I think essentially at the 6 month mark, if you're at break even, you're either doing a lot of things right and just the offer market's not good enough. It's not good enough of a fit. Maybe the margins aren't good enough or whatever. But what you're actually doing is good. Or you have a really good product market fit and everything, but you're just not good enough. Like your copy isn't good enough, your content isn't good enough, your ads aren't good enough. I think those are kind of the two options. And if I was talking to you before you decided to close it down, I'd say now that it's closed, move on. But at the time, what I would look at is, am I actually doing a great job on everything I can control? And it's what's holding it back is out of my control, or are the outside factors actually really in my favor and I'm just fucking it up? That's of course hard to answer yourself, but that's the question to ask for anyone else that's in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think you just gotta keep in mind that this is not you're not alone in this. This is not an abnormal thing. This is common, man. This is something that I've gone through. This is something that a lot of people have gone through. And I think, I mean, you kind of just gotta like obviously follow the advice that we've laid out so far. But you just gotta kind of, for me, like what was really helpful when I went through something similar was just like one day deciding that I wasn't gonna let my shitty mindset stop me from like being successful. Like all those negative thoughts, I mean, they're absolutely detrimental to your success because it's just gonna completely fuck up your ability to like make good decisions and to like, you're gonna lose motivation. You're not gonna want to do anything. You have to like actually make an effort to focus on building your mindset. Like this is not something to be taken lightly. Everything starts in the mind. When I like actually started thinking about, okay, like what am I thinking about on a daily basis, and actually trying to take the time to notice the negative thoughts I was having and then replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts and just kind of being like, oh, that's funny that I was thinking about that, but that's not useful. That's not helpful to, to what I want to do in life. So I'm going to try to cut those thoughts out. And again, that's also not easy to process, but just kind of like starting to be aware of those thoughts when they come and then just trying to replace them with negative thoughts, or excuse me, trying to replace the negative thoughts with positive thoughts. That was really big for me. And you have to do this intentionally. Like it's not just going to happen automatically because your brain right now in, the state that it's in automatically is not a good state. So you're going to have to like intentionally get it out of that poor state. And the only way you're going to do that is just by kind of like keeping that awareness of your thoughts and just kind of like being able to separate your thoughts and the things that the voice in the back of your head is telling you from who you actually are. Those two things are not the same thing. You're not the voices in your head. You're not all those negative thoughts. So if you can separate yourself from that, that is definitely really helpful. That was huge for me.
Super wise words from the Schmidt man right there.
I'm wise sometimes, on occasion.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. I think that's the basic gist, guys. Scotty, you got anything else to add here, man? Any more parting words of wisdom for the boy Christian?
Don't think so. I think we wrap it here.
All right, brother. Well, good luck, Christian, on the next stages of your journey. Keep it the heck up, man. Keep it the heck up. Don't be a pussy. Don't give up. We'll talk to you guys in the next one.